July to honor us with their esteemed presence as guests of honor to the wedding party of our children, Shahida Kabir Gaya and Dr. Mukhtar Bashir Abdullahi. The occasion is scheduled to take place, inshallah, as follows. Saturday, 27th November 2021, time 12 noon prompt, venue Al Furqan Mosque, Alu Avenue, Nasarawa, GRA, Kano. Your Excellency, the Senate President and distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it is apt to emphasize the enormity of the appreciation of my family for your expected gracing the occasion. Your presence would usher in a tremendous blessing to the wedding. We look forward for the profound honor to us, your humble self, accept the assurances of my unalloyed regards. God bless the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Yours sincerely, Senator Dr. Architect Kabir Aiga, Kano South Senatorial District. Birthday announcement. The 20th November was the birthday of Senator Mohammed Ali Ndume, while the 21st November was the birthday of Senator Abdul Fattah Buhari. On behalf of the Senate, I wish our distinguished colleagues happy birthdays, long life, prosperity, and many more years of service to our fatherland. Congratulations. Today, 23rd November, is also the birthday of the Deputy Chief Whip, House of Representatives, Honorable Nkiruka Onyejocha. On behalf of the Senate, I wish our colleague in the House of Representatives happy birthday, long life, prosperity, and many more years of service to our fatherland. Congratulations to the Deputy Chief Whip of the House. Distinguished colleagues, according to our timetable for the budget defense and subsequent processing by our committees or our subcommittees of the Appropriations Committee, tomorrow will be the last day for the budget defense. Tomorrow will be the last day for the budget defense by subcommittees of the appropriation before the Committee on Appropriation. It is gladdening that all our committees have finished their budget defense with ministries, departments, and agencies as programmed by this Senate. But we have a little bit of a hitch. We are behind schedule with some of our committees. So I'm sure that those committees that should have appeared before the Committee on Appropriation but could not might have had some challenges with getting some details from the MDS. Tomorrow, no matter what, we have to conclude with the budget defense by the subcommittees before the Committee on Appropriations. And it is very important, in fact, it is very, very essential that we keep to our timetable. Otherwise, we may run into a very serious problem with our time for the budget to be considered and passed by the 14th of December. I'm sure that our committees will be able to appear before the Committee on Appropriations by tomorrow, and I will also add that the Committee on Appropriations should make itself available to our subcommittees of the Appropriation Committee tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, the day after, and the day after. At least we have up to the weekend to conclude on the work of defense by the subcommittees before the Appropriations Committee, so that our Appropriations Committee is able to also work to compile the document for us to work with when we come to the next segment of the budget processing, that is the consideration, laying and the consideration and passage of the budget proposal by the grace of God. I want to take this opportunity to thank all our committees for doing very well so far, and I'm sure that this little hitch is not something that we cannot deal with. On the whole, the program is going on. I'm particularly glad that we have been able to finish the defense by the MDS, and also commend the MDS for coming forward to defend their budget rather than leaving us to do what we think they want. So this is the announcement, and I feel that we must heed to this so that we're able to continue to pass the budget before we go on Christmas break. Petitions. The Chairman Senate Committee on Petitions.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name remains Senator Yoaki Henry, representing Ondo Central. Mr. President, presentation of petition not laid but referred to the Committee on Ethics from the Office of the President of the Senate. The Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions, in line with Order 41.1 and 3, wishes to present to the Senate some petition yet to be laid from the Office of the President of the Senate. In order to officially place the petition in public domain through the floor of the Senate and for the votes and proceedings to capture the approval for referral. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, please find below a summary of petition received from the Office of the President of the Senate for ease of reference. 1. Petitioner Musa Muibau Muhammad against Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, AEDC. Subject matter of the petition, petition on wrongful termination of appointments of premature retirement from the service of Abuja Electricity Distribution Company Limited. 2. Mr. A. Femi Ogunide against the Nigerian Army, appealed for restatement, upgrading and posting of Mr. Salami Latif back into the Nigerian Army. Number 3. Oloi Onuma against the Central Bank of Nigeria, petition on travesty of justice by the Consumer Protection Department of CBN in handling of our complaint on illegal and frivolous debit entries in our account with AfriBank PLC, now Polaris Bank Limited, and refusal by the bank to explain such entries and furnish us with statement of our account on regular basis. Number 4, Abubakar Akali and 3 others, on behalf of concerned members of the Alumni Association of the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies, against the Governing Board of National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies. Petition against the nomination of Professor Ayo Omatayo as Director General of the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies. Finally, Mr. President, Joseph Nelson Ugu against the Comptroller General of Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, plea to restore my seniority with a Federal Road Safety Corps via a letter to Corp Machar. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to the best of my knowledge, none of the above petitions is seeking judicial remedy. I therefore move, Mr. President, to seek the indulgence of the Senate to lay the petition before the Senate for official referral to the committee for further legislative action. I so move, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, distinguished Chairman. Since none of the petitioners is seeking any judicial remedy, you may lay the petitions, please. The petitions are referred to the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks. Senator Nora Ladi Dadut, Plateau South. Petitions.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Nora Ladi Dadut, representing Plateau South Senatorial District. I have a petition here, and it's coming from the consultants of one of my constituents. And the petition is against the abandonment of Nanpon Sunday, who is my constituent, and he is abandoned by the Nigerian Army Nigeria military. Sorry. And his councils are now petitioning against the Nigeria military. And it reads, "We are legal counsels to the above soldier who was unlawfully abandoned by the military authority without entitlement after his voluntary discharge. We write this letter of petition with his firm instructions that he, our client, informed us that he joined the Nigeria Army in 1997 with an Army Service number 97NA/45/6986. And I will just read what they want. They said, in conclusion, the petition is to ensure that the military or the Nigerian military pay their client his entitlements. And so in conclusion, we hereby urge the Nigerian Senate to use its constitutional powers and obligations to summon the Nigerian Army to thoroughly investigate the aforementioned roles of the Nigerian Army in the present predicaments of our client. He was...
Distinguished, it's supposed to be just a summary. I think you are taking too long with it.
They are asking the Nigerian Army to please pay his entitlements for 13 years which he served in service. Thank you, sir.
Is he seeking any judicial remedy? You may lay the petition, please. The petition is hereby referred to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks. Any more petitions? Petition, Senator Rochas Okoracha. Petition. No, if there's no petition, it's not. Any more petitions? Leader of the Senate. Okay, Senator Rochas Okoracha.
Mr. Senate President, distinguished colleagues, I rise this morning to speak on personal explanation. If Mr. President may allow me read. Is there an order?
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me again.
Yes, Senator Okorocha.
Mr. President, before you got distracted a bit, I said I'm standing to speak on order of personal explanation this morning. If Mr. President may allow me, please read. Order 43.
I have a slight problem here. But you should read the standing order 43.
Personal explanation, order 43. By the indulgence of the Senate and leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there be no question before the Senate. But no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in details to the President of the Senate, where his leave to make it a source.
Okay, it's the last part of this standing order. You didn't tell me what you are going to say. And it is for me to know what you are going to say before I say go ahead. I don't know what it is. No, the point is you are supposed to tell me before you even come under this order. I'm supposed to know what you are going to say.
What I'm saying this morning, Mr. President, is...
No, we have not reached that stage yet. We have not reached that stage where you say something.
May I please approach?
I will advise you to come forward and whisper to me what it is. No, as our order says. Thank you. Senator Okorocha, we are waiting for you.
Mr. Senate President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Owelana Rochas Okrocha, representing Imo West. Mr. Senate President, having just talked to you has further proven that you're a humanist and one that cares about the people. I'm here to speak on the insecurity and daily killings in Imo State, particularly Olu Zone, where I represent. Mr. President, day in and day out, there's no day that passes in the state without one ugly story of kidnapping, killing, maiming, burning of innocent homes, shops on daily basis. Mr. Senate President, few weeks ago, it was the killing of traditional rulers. The other day, it was killing of a policeman, and few days ago, it was killing of an army man. Again, killing of innocent souls and burning of people's houses and homes. Mr. Senate President, this has called for serious concern. That's why I deem it fit to bring to the notice of these red chambers, and by extension, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that something must be done to guarantee the safety of lives and property of citizens of Imo State. Mr. Senate President, it has never been recorded in the history of that state, this level of insecurity on daily basis.
Distinguished Senator Okorocha, you are just informing, you should just inform us the situation, and you need maybe the beefing up of more security to prevent this. I don't think we should go into the debate of when it started and the rest of it, because that will be controversial.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's just to put that on record. But most importantly, I think the matter requires some form of engagement to really find out what is the nitty-gritty or what is the causative of this problem and resolving them accordingly. Because over time, we have been, the military and the police and all the security agencies have gotten involved, but it seems to be escalating on a daily basis. So I am only informing you, and by extension, that we should find a way of resolving this matter, that peace may reign in that land. Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you very much, distinguished Senator Rochas Okorocha, for informing the Senate of the situation, the security situation in parts of Imo State. You know that this is personal explanation, and therefore is not subject to debate. But this Senate, and indeed the entire National Assembly, has been very consistent in trying to find some kind of solution, more permanent solution to ending the security situation in the country. And of course, we'll continue to do so, and agree that we need to diversify our means of getting the solution to the numerous myriads of security challenges across the country. So with this, I want to call on the leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of a House bill sending in my name on the Federal College of Education, Kiana, Nasarawa State Establishment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal College of Education, Kiana, Nasarawa State Establishment Bill 2021, HB 439, first reading.
Federal College of Education, Kiana, Nasarawa State Establishment Bill 2021, HB 439, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Betty Apiafi on the Federal College of Agriculture, Abua, Odual, River State Establishment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of it.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal College of Agriculture, Abua, Odual, River State Establishment Bill 2021, SB 503, first reading.
Federal College of Agriculture, Abwad, Odual, River State Establishment Bill 2021, SB 503, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, The third business of the day is the presentation of our bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Francis Adenigba Wadaunsi on the Federal Orthopedic Hospital Elisha, Osun State Establishment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Orthopedic Hospital, Elisha, Osun State, established Bill 2021, SB 855, first reading.
Federal Orthopedic Hospital, Elisha, Osun State, Establishment Bill 2021, SB 855, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Samuel Omeni Egu on the Federal School of Nursing and Midwifery Egbegu ISD, Establishment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal School of Nursing and Midwifery Ibegu Ize, established Bill 2021, SB 856, first reading.
Federal School of Nursing and Midwifery, Ebeagu, Easy, Establishment Bill 2021, SB 856, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Mukail Adetokunbo Abiru on the control of delegated legislation, control and procedure bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, control of delegated legislation, control and procedure bill 2021, SB 858, first reading.
Control of Delegated Legislation, Control and Procedure Bill 2021, SB 858, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Tertiary Education and State Fund on the Federal University of Education Newman Establishment Bill 2021. The distinguished senators will recall that the bill was referred to the committee on Wednesday, 7th July 2021. Mr. President, with your permission and the leave of my colleague, I would also want us to consider taking this bill together with the second order of the day, which also is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee of Tertiary Education and State Fund on the Federal College of Forestry, Wawazenge Duku, Gombe State Establishment Bill, so that we can take them in the same committee of the whole. And that bill was referred to the committee on Wednesday, 24th March 2021.
Leader, I think we can afford to take them separately because they are not the same, and you need the comments of senators on each, so we can take them separately. Yes.
Of the committee to move the motion for the consideration and presentation and consideration of the report. In the absence of the chairman, he has delegated distinguished Senator Nora Ladi Dadut to lead the to present and consider to present the report for the consideration of the report. So, Mr. President, with your permission and the leave of my colleagues, I would like you to invite distinguished Senator Nora Ladi Dadut to represent distinguished Senator Ahmed Babaketa for the presentation, to read a motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Distinguished Senator Nora Ladi Dadut, Plateau South.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Distinguished colleagues, I am Nora Ladi Dadut, representing Plateau South Senatorial District. I want to... I want to give the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on the establishment of Federal University of Education, Bill 2021, SB 522. Report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Education, Numan, Adamawa State, and for other matters connected therewith. Mr. President, distinguished members, the Senate at its plenary sitting on Wednesday, 7th of July 2021, debated on the general principles of the bill for the establishment of Federal University of Education, Numan, Adamawa State, and for other matters connected therewith. The bill, which was sponsored by distinguished Senator Lenos Dauda Yaroi, Adamawa South. After extensive deliberation, the bill was read for the second time and referred to the Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund for further legislative action. The Senate Order of Referral dated Monday, 12/7/2021, and to report back its recommendations. Mr. President, I will go on to the objectives and the recommendations to save time. Mr. President, I therefore move the motion. Mr. President, I so move, Mr. President.
Have you finished presenting? Reading the motion? No, I know. I want someone to second it. Senator Ezekiel Dimka.
Distinguished colleagues, Senator Ezekiel Dimka, representing good people of Plateau Center. I must stand to
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on the Federal University of Education, Numan, Establishment Bill 2021, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Chairman, you may lay the report, please. You may present the report now. But this report, okay, it's not, okay, you start, please.
Thank you, Your Excellency. The Senate at its plenary sitting on Wednesday, 7th July 2021, debated on the general principles of the bill for the establishment of Federal University of Education, Numan, Adamawa State, and for other matters connected therewith, SB 522. The bill, which was sponsored by distinguished Senator Lenos Dauda Yaroi, Adamawa State, Adamawa South. After extensive deliberation, the bill was read for the second time and referred to the Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund for further legislative action with Senate Order of Referral dated Monday, 12/7/2021, and to report back its recommendations. Mr. President, I will just go to the objectives and then the findings. Specific objectives of the bill. In specifics, the bill is to, among other things, seek to achieve dissemination of teaching skills, techniques, and knowledge, as well as to equip graduates with practical knowledge of the purpose of obtaining diplomas and degrees in education and other professional areas relating to education, and to meet the learning and research needs of prospective students and researchers in Nigeria and beyond. 2, identify the problems and needs of the education sector in Nigeria and to find solutions to them within the context of overall national development framework, while focusing on teacher education through teaching, learning, and utilitarian innovations as enhancer for better education, teaching, and learning conditions in Nigerian tertiary institutions. 3, to collaborate with other national and international educational outfits and institutions involved in training, research, and development of education with a view to promoting good governance, leadership, and managerial skills among specialists in the education sector. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I will just go straight to the findings, observations and findings. From the views canvassed by stakeholders at the public hearing and subsequent analysis of the presentations, the committee hereby makes the following observations and/or findings. Thus, 1, the stakeholders who made both written and oral submissions at the public hearing called for high-impact legislation and were unanimously in support of the passage of the bill by the National Assembly. 2, the establishment of the Federal University of Education, Numan, Adamawa State, will no doubt provide the required manpower needs of Nigeria in the areas of teacher education, ensuring utilitarian innovations as enhancer for better education, specialist services, teaching and improved learning conditions in the Nigeria tertiary institutions. 3, the knowledge and skills that would be acquired by graduates from the proposed Federal University of Education, Numan, Adamawa State, will go a long way in expanding and deepening the horizon of the students, as well as create a range of patriotism and contributions among the students, ensuring national integration and social progress among diverse young people of this country. This underscores the need for the Senate to consider and approve this proposal. And the recommendations. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund, to which this bill was referred, having carefully considered same, hereby recommend as follows: that the Senate do consider and pass the bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Education, Numan, Adamawa State, and for other matters connected therewith, 2021. In conclusion, Mr. President, I, on behalf of the chairman of this committee and members of the committee, I wish to use this opportunity to thank the President of the Senate and distinguished colleagues for the opportunity to serve in this capacity and to humbly request the Senate to pass this bill. I so move. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Any comments, Leader of the Senate? Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to second the motion as moved by the Senate Leader. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion moved by the Leader and seconded by the Minority Leader that the Senate resolves into Committee of the Whole to consider the report, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, this is a bill seeking to establish a tertiary institution and follows the standard format that we are used to. So, and there's nothing controversial about it, and therefore I will be fast with it. Those in favor that clauses 1 and 2 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 3 on page 3, Constitution and Principal Officers of the University. Clause 4, Powers of Federal University of Education, Numan, Adamawa State, and its exercise. Those in favor that the clauses 3 and 4 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 5 on page 7, Functions of the Chancellor and Pro-Chancellor. Clause 6 on page 8. Clause 6. Okay, let me put the question on clause 5. Those who vote that clause 5 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 6, DSP.
Thank you, Mr. President. Obiomo Agege, Delta Central District. Mr. President, frankly, all I'm seeking here is some explanation as to what clause 6E represents, if I may read. It says 4 persons. I'm talking about composition now, Mr. President. It says 4 persons representing a variety of interests and broadly representative of the whole federation are appointed. This is the interest now, Mr. President. Are appointed by the National Council of Ministers. I don't know what that means, Mr. President.
Can you give us any explanation on the remark on column 3, on clause 6, page 8? The remark
by the National Council of Ministers by virtue of the universities. I think it's explanatory. It's explicit. It's explicit. Because the variety of interests is being monitored by the National Council of Ministers.
You see, you may even sit down. It's like that the committee's recommendation, is like trying to explain the E in the Principal Act. The Principal Act says and that's E, 4 persons representing a variety of interests and broadly representative of the whole federation to be appointed from 1, the Teachers Registration Council, the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, that's State Fund, and 2 other persons, one of whom shall be representative of the university host community. That is giving you the 4. What I think the Deputy Senate President is asking is who does the appointment. Here in your remark, you said appointed by the National Council of Ministers. I think that's the issue.
It's a provision of the Act, and we can't change it. Yes, we cannot change it. As indicated here, miscellaneous provisions, Act 1993. But we cannot change it.
You see, the point is, we have Federal Executive Council. If you are talking of Council of Ministers, because there's nothing like Council of Ministers as it stands today. We have Federal Executive Council. Are you saying that the Federal Executive Council is supposed to make this appointment? Or the Minister of Education? Or the President?
I think, Mr. President, we may be speaking on 2 different lanes, because the National Council of Ministers, the National Council of Ministers, by virtue of their power, they have the rights or the responsibility to implement this act.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, for me, from what I have seen over the years when we are dealing with matters establishing institutions, these observations, both D and E, as recommended by the committee, I think it is our responsibility to go back to the Principal Act, because it's clearer than these recommendations that have been made by the committee. You know, let's look also, in addition to that, they say F, look at F in the main thing, 4 persons appointed by the Senate from among its own members. Doesn't make any sense for the Senate to appoint 4 persons in the council of a university. So there are a lot of these things. Either we take this bill back to the committee for them to look at this thing properly and bring what it, or we just go to the go by the main Principal Act and ignore the committee's recommendation, or we take the entire document back to the committee so that they reconsider those recommendations, because a lot of the recommendations of the committee really don't make any sense, and they are a departure completely from similar bills that we have been treating on this matter. So my own recommendations is that this particular document be stepped down, so that we will take it back to the committee so that they will sit down and do a better work on the document before they bring it back to us for further consideration. I so submit.
We normally have a standard law for establishing institutions, especially universities. Few things really change, maybe the names. So I will tend to agree with the Senate leader that let's compare this report or these provisions with the normal standard laws establishing our universities across the country. Because why should we appoint 4 people from the Senate? Why do we need to do that? And I've never had something like this before. So at the risk of Senator Shekarau.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, as earlier observed by the Leader of the Senate, I wish to confirm that all federal universities of education have the same common laws. They belong to the federal government, and the laws establishing the federal universities are all the same. I suggest that the committee should look at all of these that are already existing and tailor their recommendation according to that line.
Going. Okay. The Senate here being referred to is the Senate of the university. It's the Senate of the university, because the Senate has the powers to do and undo certain things within the academia. So we are talking about the Senate of the university. That's what is referred to here.
I'm going to say that under the extant law today, if we jettison this aside, if we just set this aside for a moment, these 4 appointments, to the extent that they needed to be made, they are normally made by Mr. President on the recommendation of the minister. Today, that's under the extant law. So I don't know where this is coming from. So I agree with the Senate leader that we should set this thing aside and give them another opportunity, to correct, go back to what we normally have. Because like you really observed, we've established so many universities, in this Senate. And we've had Mr. President also sign. This is something new entirely, and it runs counter to everything that we know. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, I think the preponderance of opinion is that we stand down to consideration of this report, and I agree with that too, so that the committee is able to go back and compare some of these provisions with laws that govern the establishment of our university that we passed previously. So, committee chair, you represent the chairman. This is, you take it back and you can do it within a week so that we are able to pass it before we conclude on the budget. So if you can bring it back next week, can you do that? No. What is the problem? You can just compare this, so that we don't want this to be a drawback that will take too long. It's not something major. Just compare what we have here with what has been the standard, and then bring it back next week so that we're able to pass it before we go on Christmas break. Otherwise, it may have to wait until next year. And I'm sure our brother from Adamawa South, Senator Binos Daudaya, will not like that kind of thing to happen. Thank you. Leader of the Senate, we'll go back to plenary, please.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I move the motion that the chair reports progress. I so move.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion as moved by the leader.
Oh, sorry.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate reverse plenary for the chair to report progress, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on the Federal University of Education Newman Establishment Bill 2021 and approved as follows. Clauses 1 to 5 as recommended. Further consideration deferred to another legislative day to enable the committee do more legislative duties and diligence. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Tertiary Education and Tech Fund on the Federal College of Forestry, Wawa Zenge Duku, Gombe State Establishment Bill 2021. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was referred to the committee on Wednesday, 24th March 2021. Mr. President, we wish to invite distinguished Senator Nora Ladi Dadu, representing distinguished Senator Ahmed Babaketa, who is the chairman of the committee, to move a motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Distinguished colleagues, before I call on the chair of the Committee on Third Fund, I want to inform us that we'll close 1 or even before 1 for 2 reasons. First, we have our subcommittees of the Appropriations Committee to go and defend their budgets before the Appropriations Committee. And 2, the minority PDP has a retreat. So we would like our colleagues who are in PDP to also go and witness and participate in the retreat, which has started already. So for these 2 reasons, DSP, you are laughing. Right? You know, we are very magnanimous. We are very magnanimous. So we take the second reading of 3 bills, and thereafter we close for our committees to go and continue with their work, and also our PDP colleagues to go and attend the PDP retreat taking place today. Thank you very much. With this, I call on distinguished Senator Nora Ladi Dadut, Plateau South, to present the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I want to move to report on the report given by the Committee on Tertiary Institutions on a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Forestry, Wawazangi Dugu, Gombe State, to provide for a full-time courses in forestry technology and development to improve genetic resources of forestries and ecosystem for economic development and applied science management and other fields of studies and for other matters connected therewith. I so move.
I need a seconder. Senator Uche Lilian Ekunefe Iyom.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Uche Lilian Ekunifiyom. I represent Anambra Central. Mr. President, I rise to second the motion as moved. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on the Federal College of Forestry, Wawa-Zange-Duku, Gombe State, Establishment Bill 2021, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Chairman, you may lay the report, please. You may present the report now.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, report of the Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Forestry, Wawa-Zange-Duku, Gombe State, to provide for full-time courses in forestry technology and development to improve genetic resources of forest trees and ecosystem for economic development and applied science management and other fields of studies and for other matters connected therewith. 2021 SB 308. The Senate, at its plenary on Thursday, 29th of February 2020, debated on the general principles of the bill to provide for the establishment therewith 2021, which was sponsored by distinguished Senator Alkali Saidu Ahmed, Gombe North. After extensive deliberations, the bill was read for the second time and referred to the Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund for further legislative action via Senate Order of Referral dated Wednesday, 24th of March, 2021, and to report back with its recommendations. The objectives, I will just go straight to the objectives, Mr. President. Specific objectives of the bill. In specifics, this legislative proposal seeks to achieve, inter alia, the following. 1, to identify educational needs of the northeastern states with a view to improving genetic resources of forest trees and technological development, ensuring an all-encompassing transformation, friendly ecosystem, and for the protection of forest trees, consequentially discouraging desertification. 2, to provide full-time courses in forestry, technology and development, and to undertake applied sciences, management, and other fields of studies, teaching and learning with innovations in genetic resources of forest trees for success going forward. 3, to collaborate with other national and international institutions involved in dealing with genetic resources of forest trees and improved ecosystem through exchange programs, training, research, and general development of teacher education with a view to nurturing younger ones in Nigeria. I now go to the concluding part, that is the findings and observations. The findings, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, from the general feeling expressed by the stakeholders at the public hearing and subsequent analysis of both oral and written presentations of memoranda, the committee hereby makes the following observations. 1, that the establishment of Federal College of Forestry, Wawazangi Duku, in Gombe State, will definitely promote genetic resources of forest trees, support development and expand frontier of cutting-edge research in applied sciences. 2, establishing College of Forestry in Wawazangi Duku of Gombe State will certainly go a long way in creating a friendly ecosystem and to some extent discourage desert encroachment as existential threats to agricultural practices and antithetical to economic activities of the people within the northeast geopolitical zone of the country. 3, the establishment of Federal College of Forestry, Wawazangi Duku in Gombe State will further promote teacher education and support training of younger ones to acquire knowledge for better understanding of pros and cons associated with genetic resources of forest trees, while discouraging proliferation of relative desert, encouraging in the northeast geopolitical zone of the country. 4, establishing College of Forestry in Wawazangi Duku in Gombe State will help in no small measure to strike the tide of any imbalance in forest management and would ensure comprehension of complex and dynamic structures of mechanized agricultural practices, more especially in forestry, genetic resources of forest trees to context and relative equilibrium, thereby encouraging afforestation and as well discouraging deforestation with increase in educational opportunities to benefit diverse demographics in the country. Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues, I wish to further reiterate that this legislative assignment has received overwhelming support of the spectators at the corridor of the powers of the legislature for the passage of the bill establishing Federal College of Forestry, Wawazangi Duku in Gombe State. More so, when established, the college will no doubt provide an edge to close up the gap in knowledge on forest management and provide the required manpower needs of Nigerians in the areas of managing genetic resources of forest trees, specialized educational services, teacher training, and teaching in every aspect of forestry and fields of applied sciences relevant to the developmental needs of Nigeria. Recommendation: the Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TED Fund, having carefully considered the bill, hereby recommends as follows: that the Senate do consider and pass the bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Forestry, Wawazangi Duku, Gombe State, to provide full-time courses in forestry, technology and development, to improve genetic resources of forest trees and ecosystem for economic growth and development in applied sciences, management, and other fields of studies and for other matters connected therewith. In conclusion, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I wish on behalf of the chairman and members of the committee to use this opportunity to thank Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, and distinguished colleagues for the opportunity to serve in this capacity and to humbly request the Senate to pass this bill. I so move. Thank you, Mr. President.
Leader of the Senate, Committee of the Whole.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move a motion for the Senate to resolve into Committee of the Whole to consider this report. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion as moved by the Senate leader. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolves into committee of the whole to consider the report, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, because of earlier experience, I will go a little bit slowly so that we're able to make observations. Those in favor that clause 1 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 2 functions of the college. Those in favor that clause 2 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 3, I have an observation. I have a question to ask. On page 5, under establishment, constitution, and composition of the council, governing council, items F and G. After listing the provost of the college, F is one representative of the honorable minister charged with the responsibility of matters relating to the college, and G, one representative of the permanent secretary of the ministry charged with the responsibilities of matters relating to environment. Why do we talk about honorable minister and permanent secretary? Not the institution, not the ministry. Chairman, why do we particularize it?
Mr. President, my understanding of this is that the honorable minister is not named, but the ministry, let us put it, the Ministry of Agriculture, the permanent secretary of the same ministry should be charged, environment, the Ministry of Environment, the minister is a chair, is not a particular person. The ministry as a whole, as a body.
My concern is if you say one representative of the honorable minister charged with responsibility of matters relating to the college, you know, the minister is at liberty to pick whoever from a certain department to represent him. Instead of saying director, blah, blah, at least you know that it's statutory. But if you say minister, the minister will look at someone, maybe it's SA or something, and say he's the one to represent him. Similarly, why do you give minister and then the permanent secretary also? Eh? And then two from the Federal Minister of Environment. And the minister and the permanent secretary are the ones leading the Ministry of Environment.
Mr. President, I think what we are saying here, or what the bill is trying to propose here, is that the act, you know, we have the act covering these particular responsibilities. That is why we are bringing it here on the miscellaneous provisions of the act that support this particular proposal. It is in the act, unless we amend it. It has been provided.
Actually, what we are talking about is what is even in the Principal Act, because the committee retain it. But we are asking that even the principal act should be amended, because we shouldn't particularize this kind of appointments. If you say, if we are talking about like K, 2 representatives from the Federal Ministry of Environment, and that is where the minister and the permanent secretary are, they will appoint their own people and it's personalized to them. Because if we are saying 2 representatives from the Federal Ministry of Environment, these are the people to represent the ministry. The other one represent the minister, the other one the permanent secretary. Why should we do that? Why?
Mr. President, I think there are different responsibilities. That's what I see. Because the I says, not I, G says ministry charged with responsibilities on matters relating to environment. Then the other is saying 2 representatives of the academic board of the college, or 2 representatives of the Commissioner for Environment where the college is situated. So there are various responsibilities, I think.
If you have 2 people in K to represent the Federal Minister of Environment, why do we need to give the minister a slot and then the permanent secretary a slot? Why not those 2 slots be just taken by these 2 representatives from the ministry? Yes, even if you are talking about specialization. Huh? Huh. This is the first time we are having this kind of. Chairman, you still want to say something in defense?
Just, President, you are well guided. I accept. I said you are well guided. It's okay.
You have to take a second look at it because it's simply not looking very clean. We are populating the governing council with people who shouldn't be there actually. So it's not the best thing to do, but unfortunately, it's the right thing to do. We have to stand down the consideration of this report. Okay, the DSP.
Just use the opportunity to also draw our attention to clause 32, I believe, so that when she's doing the tidying up, she'll also address this. If you look at the principal act, that's on page 29, sir, 32. It talks about the funds of the college shall include, and it goes A, B, C, D, E. And then we now see the recommendation, and now see a new clause, the insertion clause 3. Where is that clause 3 coming from? We don't have 32.1.2. But now we are seeing 32.3. I think they should I don't know what they're seeking, but I think they should look into that, you know. Yes. Okay, sir. The point I was trying to make is that I'm taking you to clause 32. Okay, it's on, sir. Thank you. Yeah, Mr. President, I'd like to direct the attention of the chair of the committee to clause 32 on page 29. While doing the cleanup on the observations already made, please look into this because 32 deals with the funds of the college. And it already tells us what it includes. It says it shall include clauses A, B, C, D, E. But here, the recommendation of the committee is not saying a new insertion of sub-clause 3. We don't have sub-clause 2 or 1. no subclause 1 and 2, but yet now we have a 3. So please try and tidy it up. It's out of place before you bring it back to us. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues. Aisha Tudairo Ahmed Binani, representing Adama Central. Mr. President, I just want to raise this observation. Mr. President, I want to raise this observation. And as much as we have on item F, one representative from Honorable Minister, and then G, one representative of Permanent Secretary from both whom are from the same ministry, and then when you see K, 2 representatives from the Ministry of Environment. That is, by the time you join them together, making 4 people from the same ministry. So I believe we can just merge them to just either to leave the 2 representatives from the Federal Ministry of Environment. I think it's better.
Well, that is one of the issues we raise, and is for them, for the committee to go back and sort out this thing. Distinguished colleagues, like the previous report, we have to give our committee on tertiary education and TED fund to go and give a second look at this report and bring back to the Senate by next week. Is that okay, Chair? Senator Dadut? Thank you very much. I don't know when Senator Smart Ademi, I said Chair and then you answered. Are you Chairman TED Fund? Distinguished colleagues, Leader, we'll go back to plenary.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleague, I rise to move a motion that the Chair reports progress. I so move.
I rise to second the motion as moved by the Senate leader. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate reverse the plenary for the Chair to report progress, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate, in the Committee of the Whole, considered the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TED Fund on the Federal College of Forestry, Wawazangie Duku, Gombe State Establishment Bill 2021, and approved as follows. Clauses 1 and 2 as recommended. Further consideration of report deferred for further legislative action by the committee. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the second reading of the Federal College of Agriculture Ubiaja Establishment Bill 2021. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Wednesday, 23rd June 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Clifford Odia to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Clifford Odia.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My very distinguished colleagues, I'm Senator Clifford Odia, I represent Edo Central District. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for allowing me to lead the debate on the Federal College of Agriculture, Ubiaja Establishment Bill 2021, SB 751. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I'm delighted to be permitted to lead the debate on the bill for an act to establish Federal College of Agriculture, Ubiaja, Edo State. The bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Wednesday, 23rd June 2021. This bill seeks to address the need for agricultural education training and research institutions in the region. The federal mandate of the college will therefore enhance agriculture research and development, not only in South-South, also in the entire country. Agriculture and its allied sector are unquestionably the largest livelihood provider, especially in rural areas, and can contribute significantly to the GDP. Demand for agricultural commodities is rising rapidly with increase in population and per capita income. As a result, there's growing demand for agricultural products from the industrial sector. The Federal College of Agriculture, Ubiaja, when established, will provide for the comprehensive development of agricultural education, knowledge, skill, and extension services. This initiative will accelerate agricultural growth rate, enhance farmers' income, and generate employment in the sector. The bill seeks to, among others, 1, establish Federal College of Agriculture, Ubiaja, Edo State, to train agriculturists and farmers in the South-South and Nigeria. 2, serve as institution for advanced agricultural research in all fields of agriculture and animal husbandry. 3, develop and offer academic and professional programs leading to the award of certificates, first degrees, postgraduate research, diploma, and higher degrees with emphasis on planning, developmental, and adaptive skill in agriculture, education, technology, applied science, agriculture, agribusinesses, management, and allied professional discipline. Act as agent and catalyst for effective agricultural system through postgraduate training, research, and innovation for effective economic utilization and conservation of the country's human resources. Collaborate with other national and international research institutions involved in training, research, and development of agriculture. Undertake any other activities that is appropriate for a college of agriculture of the highest standard. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, let me conclude by expressing my gratitude for your usual cooperation in supporting proposals that seek to eradicate illiteracy, poverty, and unemployment in our country. The establishment of College of Agriculture, Ubiaja, will go a long way to contributing in this regard. In line with orders 77.3 of Senate Standing Order 2015 as amended, a compendium of the financial implications of the establishment of the college is attached. I solicit your support for the expeditious passage of this bill. I thank you.
Distinguished Senator Matthew Uragide, Edo South.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, my very distinguished colleagues, I'm Senator Matthew Uragide. I represent Edo South Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise to support this bill as proposed by my distinguished brother, Senator Clifford Odia. Mr. President, I want to humbly bring again to the attention of this very distinguished chamber the need for agriculture to be developed, not just in my state or in our region, but in the whole country. You recall that in the 60s, agriculture was the mainstay of our economy. Today, there is a quest for us to diversify our economy because the oil that we have today that is bringing virtually all that we need in terms of our resources, we know cannot really sustain us. So agriculture is where, of course, our people have to draw their attention to so that at least food security and all of that, be guaranteed. And for us to do that, we need institutions that will train people. Ubiaja, where this bill wants to sit with this college, is one of the very profound bases for agricultural activities in the South-South, particularly in my state. Edo Central, Ubiaja is the headquarters of Eastern Southeast. There is no other institution in that area that, of course, is charged with responsibility for educating people, developing skills, and even agri-extension services. So we need this institution. Mr. President, my very distinguished colleagues, I don't even think that we should overflog this bill
because this country, as large as we are, with vast arable land, the skills have to be developed, and we need institutions like this to develop the skills of our people. So I support this bill. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Agriculture, Ubiaja, Edo State, to provide full-time courses of agricultural teaching, instruction and training in sciences, social sciences, commerce, arts, applied sciences, management and humanities, and carry out research, innovation, development, and adaptation of teaching techniques, and for other related matters, 2021 SB 751, second reading.
A bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Agriculture, Ubiaja, Edo State, to provide full-time courses of agriculture, teaching, instruction, and training in the sciences, social sciences, commerce, arts, applied sciences, management and humanities, and carry out research, innovation, development, and adaptation of teaching techniques, and for other related matters. Before I put I bang the gavel, why do you want social sciences, commerce, arts taught in the College of Agriculture?
Mr. President, I think it has to do with the earlier title. Actually, I changed it, with the new, lead debate that I just gave.
You change the title in the lead debate. So what? Okay, let's see the title. Because the name of the title still remains Federal College of Agriculture, Ubiaja. But in the narration, the long title is reading a lot of things. You said full-time courses of agriculture, teaching, instruction and training in the sciences, social sciences, commerce, arts, applied sciences, management and humanities. So I don't know whether this is truly a college of agriculture. Because it's like just any standard education. I mean, the agriculture will just be a department or a faculty.
Mr. President, the titles will be addressed in line with international.
But if you want it like that, we can pass it. But definitely there's a dilution here. It's not giving you that kind of focus on agriculture. I don't know. You want it like this? No, it's up to you. I'm just raising the observation. Because there are so many institutions who don't have the mandate, but are doing this kind of thing. They may be for sciences, but at the end of the day, they train people in everything. So maybe it's losing a little bit of focus on the main thing. But we can pass it like this. Huh? Okay. A bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Agriculture, Ubiaja, Edo State, to provide full-time courses of agriculture, teaching, instruction and training in the sciences, social sciences, commerce, arts, applied sciences, management and humanities, and carry out research, innovation, development and adaptation of teaching techniques, and for other related matters. 2021 second reading taken. And the bill is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund to report back within 4 weeks. Actually, because of the dilution, I think it's going to tertiary institution. Otherwise, it should have gone to agriculture. But maybe during the public hearing, if the audience or the stakeholders raise this kind of observations, then we should look at it so that the institution, once established, has this better focus on just agriculture rather than spreading out the resources on so many other things that could be anywhere else. So the bill is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund to report back within 4 weeks. Clerk, Leader of the Senate, sorry.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day.
Leader, you need to correct the number there. It's not supposed to be item 3. Mine is reading number 3. Okay, you are not looking at, you are looking at the chamber brief. Oh, okay, I'm looking at the other paper. All right, go ahead.
In this distinguished chamber on Tuesday, 5th October 2021. Mr. President, we move to invite distinguished Senator Nicholas Olubukola Tofowomo to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
It's not in. You stand it down. Minority Leader.
I rise to second the motion as moved by.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that we stand down to consideration of this bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate, the last one.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth order of the day is the second reading of the Financial Reporting Council Act 2011, Amendment Bill 2021. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Thursday, 7th October 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf.
Thank you, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues. I am Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf. I represent Taraba Central of Taraba State. Mr. President and my highly respected colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on this very crucial bill entitled A Bill for an Act to Amend the Provisions of Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act 2011. You will recall that this bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Thursday, the 7th day of October 2021. The bill seeks to amend the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act 2011 by streamlining the membership of the board, reviewing the financial provisions of the Act, redefining public interest entities, expansion of powers of enforcement and rule-making of the Council, and for other related matters. Mr. President, like other parts of the world, the Nigerian Parliament enacted the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act 2011, the Act, which repealed the Nigerian Accounting Standards Board Act of 2003 and paved way for the creation of Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, Nigeria's replica of the Financial Reporting Council of the United Kingdom, the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board of United States, the Financial Reporting Council of Mauritius, and the Independent Regulatory Board for Auditors of South Africa, just to mention a few. The Council is the sole competent authority and singular peak body responsible for giving guidance and overseeing the effectiveness of financial reporting and corporate governance in Nigeria. The Council is instrumental to the enthronement of a transparent and credible financial reporting and corporate governance regime geared towards attracting the much-needed foreign direct investment for sustained economic growth and development, promotion and protection of trade and investment, as well as financial stability in Nigeria. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, this year makes it exactly 10 years since the extant law came into effect, and you will agree with me that there have been fundamental changes in the financial reporting landscape at the national and global levels. Emerging developments and evolving dynamics of regulatory latitude has shown that a number of provisions in the Act have been overtaken by events and no longer in tandem with present economic realities. The cumulative effect of this development is that it has prevented the Council from functioning optimally to achieve its mandate. Hence the need for amendment of the Act to strengthen the operations of the Council. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, this bill seeks to introduce the following key amendments, among others. A, to streamline the board membership of Federal Financial Reporting Council for effectiveness, to review and make more flexible the financial provisions under the Act, to amend the definition of public interest entities as defined under Section 77 of the Act, and to strengthen the Council's powers of enforcement, as well as broader and less rigorous rule-making powers. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, with a board membership of 23 members, the Council has one of the largest governing board sizes in the country. The average board membership of similar regulators in the country is about 12. It is also instructive to mention that the board membership of other independent accounting regulators in other climes, such as Financial Reporting Council in the United Kingdom, the Australian Financial Reporting Council, and the Financial Reporting Council of Mauritius does not exceed 10 members. There is also a fundamental corporate governance issue, as some members of the governing board are entities under the regulatory oversight of the Council, thus impairing the independence and objectivity of the Council. Aside the impact on the Council's independence and transparency in service delivery, the large board eats deep into the finances of the Council, and the reduction sought by this amendment will not affect the effectiveness and efficiency in operations of the Council. This is even more pertinent at this time when governments at all levels and all over the world are introducing measures to reduce the running cost of governance. Mr. President, virtually all the provisions relating to financial obligations in the Act are hard-coded figures. The dent in this approach is the inappropriateness of hard-coded figures in established financial provisions and sanctions over time. This is because such codified figures become stagnant and unresponsive to changing economic realities. Hence, the recommended amendment seeks to introduce flexibility, proportionality in financial provisions to circumvent the present rigid provisions in the Act. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, one of the major challenges the Financial Reporting Council has encountered since its establishment in 2011 has been the ambiguous and very restricted definition of public interest entities under Section 77 of the Act. This has posed a clog and a headwind in the operation of the Act. The experience in the implementation of the Act has been with mixed feelings, confusion and misunderstanding of the current definition as stated in the Act. Setting right the definition of PIEs is very critical for the attainment of the Council's objectives, as it would provide a firm understanding and clearer depiction of entities within the regulatory jurisdiction. This would help put to rest the heated, long debate among its supposed regulatees and further provide direction for the Council's activities. Accounting regulators all over the globe are expanding the definition of public interest entities to bring in more significant entities with public accountability under their regulatory oversight. Also, the International Federation of the global body for accountants and accounting organizations, is also embarking on a project to expand the definition of PIEs. The present amendment seeks to make the definition of public interest entities more comprehensive so as to bring in all relevant entities into the Financial Reporting Council regulatory net and further align with global trends. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, the powers of enforcement and rulemaking granted to the Council by the Act are very, very limited. Over time, there has been disregard for the pronouncements and decisions of the Council by entities and professionals under its regulatory oversight. In addition, most entities and professionals do not pay dues, fines, and penalties as at when due, while a vast majority do not pay at all. Similarly, the Council is also limited on the extent it can go to obtain or have access to valuable information and documents for examination in the course of its investigations. Mr. President, furthermore, the rulemaking process of the Council does not allow the Council the much needed flexibility to alter, modify, and or prescribe compliance requirements for individuals, firms, and public interest entities. Therefore, the present amendment seeks to bring flexibility into the rulemaking process of the Council and extend its powers and enforcement through collaboration with relevant law enforcement agencies for improved efficiency and service delivery. In conclusion, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, from the foregoing submissions, it is crystal clear that the importance of the proposed amendments cannot be overemphasized, as the amendment will lead to a robust regulatory agency with capabilities to deliver on its core mandate, as well as will align with the federal government's vision on financial propriety, ease of doing business, and attracting foreign investors into the Nigerian economy. I therefore urge us to provide the necessary support needed to accelerate the smooth passage of this bill into law. Thank you very much.
Distinguished Senator Ebukule Amosu, Ogun Central.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ibikunle Amosu, I represent Ogun Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, first let me appreciate Senator Yusuf for bringing up this amendment. Indeed, I don't know how this has escaped. Maybe about two, maybe from 6th, because I was here when this was first, the bill was first put in place. Maybe after 10 years, rightfully so, we have to look at those things that has been overtaken with time. Mr. President, let me first say something that this is the way he cataloged and explained the needed amendments. Clearly shows the importance that we should attach to the proposed amendment. Let me say that what cannot be measured can be managed. I mean, it says, everybody knows that. If we are going to regulate let me even put it, our economy, our nation, in terms of all the financial postulates, accounting postulates, even doing business, we have to be abreast of what is happening worldwide. Mr. President, we have something in accounting, and that is setting standard. Of course, it has mentioned it here. We call it several of these accounting standards on the treatment of respective issues that will every day arise. So with setting these guidelines, it's like it serves as a guidance. It is a template that we know that once this is the way that has been said that in the accounting standards, this is the way you treat this when it happens. Everybody knows. So it helps everybody. Not that if you do any account here in Nigeria, if you go to any nation of the world, it will be the same treatment because we have these international standards regulated by the International Accounting Board. So what we are trying to do now with this amendment, it will put us in line with all the various amendments that has been done in all of these other countries that have been mentioned here. Mr. President, if we are able to put this amendment through, it will help us in our everyday even business. It will ensure transparency, it will guarantee transparency, it will reduce corruption, and we will get value for money. Mr. President, I want to urge my colleagues that this amendment is very, very important. When I saw it and I asked myself that, oh, why haven't we even thought about this? Because if you look at 2003 and to now, you will say that, yes, we should have even looked at this. So once again, I want to say that this is very important. It will help us, not just maybe even the public sector, but the public sector is very key and very critical. Even the private sector, it will help, because we will have come up with a standardized way of treating accounting issues when we come in our everyday business. With this little submission, I want to urge my colleague to support this initiative of amending this very important bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Engineer Dr. Ibrahim Abdullahi Gobir, Sokoto East.
Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues, my name is Ibrahim Abdullahi Gobir from Sokoto East. I rise to support this very important bill, without which we will be fumbling around the bush. Because the real issue currently is that there are a lot of accounting shenanigans in this country. There are a lot of problems with the companies that are presenting their financial statements. But unfortunately, they are not regulated, because no information is coming out from the reporting council. And then number two, they don't have the power to punish most of these companies. And in fact, on the other hand, the companies themselves, they don't even invite the Financial Reporting Council at the meeting. And because of that, that is when they are going to have the AGMs. And because of that, you find nothing is happening because they don't go there, you know. Sometimes they check, they go through the documentation, but they cannot call these people to order and then even advise them on what to do, let alone to punish them. So I think this is very important, and by the time they do it, if we are able to make this effective, then I'm definitely sure things are going to work fine. And then the companies, shenanigans that they are doing currently, I think will be stopped. So I support this bill, and I pray that every one of us here will support it so that we can have these corrections done. Because some of these accountants are actually creating problems. Thank you, Excellency. No, you are the people creating them.
Those in favor that this bill be now read the second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act 2011 to, among other things, streamline the membership of the governing board as well as confer oversight responsibilities for financial reporting and corporate governance regulation in Nigeria on the council, with a view of repositioning and strengthening the statutory functions of the council in line with normative standards for operational efficiency and effectiveness, and for related matters 2021, SB 824, second reading.
A bill for an act to amend the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act 2011 to, among other things, streamline the membership of the governing board as well as confer oversight responsibilities for financial reporting and corporate governance regulations in Nigeria on the council, with a view of repositioning and strengthening the statutory functions of the council in line with normative standards for operational efficiency and effectiveness, and for related matters 2021, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Trade and Investment, to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate, stand down. All other items.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move a motion that this Senate do stand down the remaining items on our order paper for consideration in another legislative day. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second.